Thank you
Hi.
for joining me today. Talk about
Oh,
Firefly Lane season two. We're almost there.
thanks so much for having me. Really excited.
So season one, ended with some big cliffhangers, and
hmm
season two is not so far from what I've seen in season two. It's not disappointing. It's still pulling you right in there.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like I just finished watching everything, and I swear to God, it's got like just as much, if not even more, intrigue at the end of every episode.
Right? What are you
hmm
hoping for when the fans return to watch this the first part of the second season? What are you hoping to get out of it?
I mean, I just really hope. I mean, ultimately, I just really hope that everyone likes it as much as I do. But I think
Right?
that we've got lots more Tully and Kate love, lots more Tully and Kate drama, lots more just incredible female friendship, and I hope that people are able to take away, I don't know, even more depth from the relationship. I think because I think it's really relatable to a lot of people.
Mm. How do you
Mhm.
connect with young Kate, and how would you describe now her journey from season one heading right into season two?
Yeah, so I think it's so interesting because I think Kate, young Kate in particular,
Yeah.
it relates a lot to like how I was as a teenager. I was really insecure. I was really uncertain of myself. I felt like all my friends were shinier than I was in a lot of ways. And so I think that a lot of that lives inside of me. I'm almost 26 now, so I'm a lot older, but I think that, that little part of you is always, I think, accessible if you've gone through that personally. So I think that's how I personally relate to young Kate. And then I think in this season we see her flourishing a little bit more, coming into her
Mm,
own as teenagers are wont to do, getting a little bit older, experimenting with different looks
right.
and just all those kind of classic teen milestones. So it's a really fun season for
Mm.
young Kate. I think I won't say too much, but there's lots of milestones.
Right. Yeah, I mean, especially like during season one, we see your young Kate, like she's shy and everything, but then she's starting to get more
Yeah,
comfortable about herself.
100%. And I think that that's like honestly one of Kate, like in our timeline, it's one of Kate's biggest journeys, is like that journey to self-acceptance and comfort within herself, and realizing that um that she has a lot to offer, and that just because Tully gets a lot of attention and is, bigger and a little bit bolder, doesn't mean that she doesn't shine in her own way. And I think that
Mm,
that is a really important thing for people to remember, that like that somebody else being sparkly does not take away from how special you are. And
mm.
I think that there's a really beautiful dichotomy in the different ways in which they are special, for lack of sounding cheesy.
Right.
or
Young Kate's gonna be part of your life forever because season two is
Mhm.
the last season. Like,
Yeah.
what do you love about this character?
Oh man, I love how compassionate she is. I love how sincere and how loyal she is. I think in this season, there's one episode in particular where you see that she does have a pretty feisty side, which we've seen before when she punched Marnie
Mm,
in the face. But yeah, I love finding a little bit more of that feisty side and her finding her strength, which I think is a really beautiful part about our timeline in terms of um, a young woman coming into herself and finding her voice.
mm.
Um, and Yeah, and I love her intelligence and her, yeah, just her like her heart.
Did you get a chance to read the book? I want to know, like, how different is your character from the series to the book?
Oh, I love the book. I've read it multiple times, mostly because I am personally a huge nerd and love to do my homework. But I would like to think that I based a lot of my own choices off of the book. I feel like I had my first time reading the book, I had a really vivid image in my head of who this person was, how she spoke. And then it was so funny in working with Sarah, it was so cohesive. And so
Mm,
I feel like it was like this, in my head when I was reading the book, I was picturing Sarah as the older version, and myself as the younger version. But it was like I saw how this person transformed through the years and went from being me to being Sarah almost. And so I
mm.
think I like to think I stuck pretty closely to the book. I hope people feel like I stuck closely to the character they love, and yeah, because it was so informed by the book for sure.
We mentioned Sarah plays the older version. Did you
Mhm.
like bounce ideas off each other also? Like, how do you want it to play this character?
I mean, I think that it was very intuitive for both of us. We're really
Mhm.
similar people. Like we always joke that we're like that we have all these like weird similarities just in our lives in the most like minute ways. Um,
Mm.
and so we did work on some stuff, but honestly, it came really naturally. I think that it's hilarious. One night we were all hanging out together, the whole cast, and Ben, who plays Johnny, looked at Sarah and I because we were like joking around, being silly, and he was like, "I think that you two were made to play these roles because you were made to play these roles, but also because you were meant to meet each other, like because you two are like two peas in a pod." And I think that that made it really easy to kind of like work together to create one cohesive character.
That's awesome. Now,
Mhm.
we see you now. You're growing up through the '70s. What do you love about the '70s era?
Oh man, it's so much. I mean, that's like one of the things I feel like I'm almost the saddest to leave behind as the show ends. I think that
Mm.
because like being in the 70s is so magical. Like it's so visceral, I feel like all the music and the clothes and just like and when you're on these sets, it's like it's really all encompassing. Like it's hard not to be to feel like you're in that time when
Mm.
you're wearing this some like polyester shirt and like an itchy sweater and like you're sitting on a book like carpet. You know what I mean? Like it's it's pretty distinct in its aesthetic and its like sensorial qualities, I feel like. And so and I love that about it. And then of course the music. Ali and I created like have this master playlist that we've like created over the now I guess 3 years that we've like worked on the
Mm.
show, and we keep adding to it like songs that remind us of the show in general, but mostly of the 70s. And we'd like dance to it in my trailer every day. And we were like, we the music really gets you into
Mm.
it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Mhm.
so from the episodes that I've seen so far, there's two specific scenes I want to see what you could tell us about. You have a scene where Tully moves away and you're like a new best friend.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that and also about your Dorothy Hamill haircut. People want to
Oh
know.
my gosh. Well, I, if you can't tell, did not get it in real life, the Dorothy Hamill haircut. Um, Thankfully. But it was, oh my God, that haircut is so wild. We had so much fun with those wigs. Like that was hilarious. I took so many pictures and I like at one point sent it to my boyfriend and he sent it to his mom, which he was supposed to have done that, but didn't get out. Um, and she was like, "Oh my God, I had that haircut at that exact age." And my aunt said the same thing. It's so funny. I didn't realize how popular that haircut was at the time and how chic it was. Like, I think that we were all laughing because it looked so dorky, but turns out that it was actually like, it was the haircut to have. And yeah, I get a new friend, Lisa Karen, who is played by the wonderful Kira LaRue, who I love. She's amazing in the role. Um, and yeah, Lisa Karen is like, I would say she's almost more like Kate. Like she's a little bit more of like a dork. She's kind of an underdog. And I think that, but she really looks up to Kate in the way that Kate almost looks up to Tully.
Mhm.
And so as a result, and she's like obsessed with Kate, like just totally
Right.
friend smitten with Kate. And so I think that it creates a really interesting friendship trio because we all know that friendship trios can be really difficult because somebody's always kind
Right.
of on the outs. And yeah, a bit of a rivalry ensues.
Yeah. And the
Mhm.
second scene I wanted to bring up was the film festival with the AV club where
Oh
you're about to have like your first kiss and then your
yeah,
father ruins it.
classic. Yeah, no, that was so fun. I mean, Seth, who plays Eugene, is hilarious. I don't know that they could have found anybody better for that part. And it was so like it felt so true to like my own experience that scene
Mm.
because like I remember, you know, when you're like teenagers and everyone's hanging out and like someone's parents are upstairs, so you're trying to be quiet. There's just that electricity because you're like 15 or like I think Kate is 15 in that case. 15 and you're just like and you're it's so anticipatory and you just want to be close to somebody. Like I remember I would like sit next to a boy and just like wait until I could feel my hand touching his hand on the couch beside me and
Mm.
stuff like that. So I really feel like it evokes that feeling. And then just the absolute horror of having your father Like, I feel like also the fact that it's Bud is way worse than if it were Margie. Your dad walk in and be like, oh no. And I think that it's like, you know, it's such an interesting episode too, because it's all about dads, and in our timeline, Bud is starting to realize that Kate's not a little girl anymore, which I think is, you know, something that all parents can relate to. And, you know, just anybody who's ever had a parent can relate to.
Right, right. You mentioned Ali, and I had her on a few days ago.
Oh my
You
God.
guys have built a special bond now, like best friends.
Oh my God. She's like one of my best friends in the entire world. She's amazing. Like truly one of the best people I've ever known. The first time we met was at like a cast mixer for the first season. And I'd actually, funnily enough, had worked with her sister before, like over a decade prior. So I knew of Ali, I just had never met her. And I was so nervous. Like I always joke that it was like worse than the worst first date nerves you've ever had. Cause I was like, we're gonna be working together for a long time, hopefully. And if we don't get along, like that's gonna make it way harder. And like the second that we met, we were like, oh, we're gonna be best friends. And we just talked all night. Like we were just like, it was like we'd known each other for years. And yeah, I would say that that's like one of the most incredible takeaways from this whole show, is that like, hilariously, on a show about two inseparable best friends, I have made an inseparable best friend.
Awesome. Now in season 2, is there a specific episode you can't wait for viewers to watch?
Oh God. Oh yeah. The final episode of season 2, part 1 is one of my favorites in our timeline. I won't spoil anything, but it really is one of my favorite episodes. We had so much fun working on it. It was just wild, and we laughed so much, and you'll probably see why. Yeah, it was just a blast. Like I swear, and also like working with Michael Spiller, who was our director and one of the executive producers, he directed that episode, and he's just hilarious. And we just, yeah, everyone on set was just killing themselves laughing that entire episode. And I think it holds a special place in my heart for that reason, but it's also one of my favorite episodes overall. The storyline in the 2000s is like incredible and leaves you on the best cliffhanger. And same with the 80s too, actually. It's like, it really is, it's one of my favorite episodes of the entire show.
That's awesome. So we have Firefly Lane returning December 2nd. Roan, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today. This is great, and I can't wait for you to tune in and watch it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This was great. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks.